y'all, welcome back for campaign development. We are in chapter 3. Big number 2, my alarm number. Anyway, whatever. Okay, LACAN. Okay, so this is campaign development within LACAN. LACAN constantly creates campaigns to combat policies that target and discriminate against the poor and responds directly to the needs of the community. In response to the community, LACAN hosts several different committees, each constantly developing and expanding different campaigns to ensure a platform for resistance. These committees include the Housing Committee, Civil Rights Committee, Team Food, Resident Organizing Committee, the Trishan Carey Committee, and the Downtown Women's Action Coalition. Again, this was 10 years ago. They have expanded immensely. In fact, one of their side projects or committees is the Freedom Singers, and they were on America's Got Talent last year, okay? Pete talks about the campaign work at LACAN since its inception, saying, "We got the vision, we're duty bound. Next we got to do some work, and work was the campaign." Before Community Watch, LACAN had already started a campaign against the bid. Pete talks about the importance of this first campaign started by the community. "Our goal was to disarm the business improvement guards, disarm them, to make sure that different levels of training were offered about the community and we would be the trainers. We did a course for all the downtown bids called Bid Sensitivity Training. It was to ensure that there were opportunities for women and the people of color on the force. The bid campaign and the Community Watch are examples of the way that LACAN constantly builds its base by hearing the needs of the community and responding to those needs, using any means necessary. LACAN continuously implements different campaigns and committees to ensure the voice of Skid Row residents is not lost in the politics of the city. The campaigns are a direct reflection of the needs of the community. Pete explains the importance of understanding all oppressions and issues facing the community. Because every other issue that's been fought in silos gains resonance here. So I don't care if you're fighting for housing, if you're fighting for jobs, if you're fighting for public space, you're fighting for environmental racism. All that shit exists right here. Our development, right? We've developed one campaign at a time, right? So when you look at the issue areas we focus on, they are simply and essentially issues that our membership has brought forth. This is why the work at LACAN does is so crucial to the survival of those living in Skid Row. The Housing Committee is an essential part of LACAN and blossomed from years of fighting for land and affordable housing in Los Angeles. One of the most important victories of LACAN, headed by the Housing Committee, was the Residential Hotel Preservation Ordinance, and the Wiggins Settlement. Steve Diaz, Director of Organizing at LACAN, speaks to the importance of these policies. They're important because they set up a baseline for people being able to access the space. And when I say access this space, I mean they'll be able to live in the Alexandria, the Frontier, and the Roslyn. Those are old hotels turned into affordable, rent-controlled housing for folks. The Alexandria, the Frontier, and the Roslyn are residential hotels in downtown Los Angeles and are some of the only affordable housing left in the area. My bad. I should really stop interjecting. Pete also mentions this campaign and success. "We refused to lose the land. We fought a 5-year campaign to ensure that we had the right to remain on the land. To ensure residential hotels citywide, right? 15,000 units were simply either demolished or turned into condos or boutique hotels." Continuing, "It was huge, it was a thing, it was a policy that ensured you and I are having this conversation in this office that we are building right now, our new home in Skid Row. Had we not won that, Skid Row would not be here, Skid Row as we know it as a place on a map. It is the mentality and practice that landed LACAN a permanent home in Skid Row." While I was there, the building that they had bought, they were renovating, and they've turned it into this absolutely incredible headquarters. LACAN believes in the housing-first approach to affordable, supportive housing that maintains the idea that housing is the only thing that can solve the homeless crisis and that housing should be the first priority and should be where funding is allocated, not into services, shelters, temporary housing, but to permanent supportive housing. Eric talks about the shift in language around housing and homelessness. The politicians also do it, like service-resistant housing solutions, The funny thing is that they've co-opted it as is permanent supportive housing is now the presumed strategy to end homelessness, and that's very new. as recent as like 10 years ago, that wasn't the case. You know, like it was an active campaign by LACAN and other people to make them be like, hey, this is literally the only thing that works. LACAN has always pushed for housing to be built first, followed by the resources such as mental health treatment, social services, addiction treatment, and other supportive means should follow second and should be part of the housing solution. The Housing Committee has worked endlessly on the Homeless Bill of Rights in partnership with the Western Regional Advocacy Project, or WRAP, to ensure that homeless folks have rights while being homeless, but understanding and working toward a permanent solution by treating the root of the problem, lack of housing, not the symptoms stemming from the lack of housing. Along with affordable housing is food justice and access to healthy, affordable food. Ari, a community organizer with LACAN responsible for a lot of the tenant organizing and team food campaigns, talked about this importance, saying, "The importance of healthy food, especially in communities where healthy food is not accessible, is just that that it's accessible and that it's an option." Team Food meets bi-weekly to share knowledge about gardening and access to healthy, affordable food. Because of the continued gentrification in downtown Los Angeles, Skid Row, and other areas such as South Central LA, these poorer communities are food deserts, meaning there's lack of access to affordable, healthy food, resulting in health and well-being of those living in those parts of the city. Mobility is limited by the expense of transportation and own abilities to access food. Skid Row has a high concentration of service providers and soup kitchens, but LACAN's Team Food reconnects community members with nature and food through meetings, and also a pop-up market in South Central and now one in downtown Los Angeles. One way LACAN has made sure all people have access to affordable, healthy food is to acknowledge public assistance, food stamps, as a way to pay for food. Ari comments on the importance of ensuring access for all. So with our pop-up markets, one of the first things we did, and one of the first things that we knew right away before starting the markets, was that they needed to be EBT accessible. And so both of our markets have the EBT machine, and so focusing more on a citywide level, we've been working with the city and other food justice groups in coalition to get all farmers markets in the city of LA to accept EBT, and those are only the public space. Team Food, they did get that passed, by the way. Team Food circulated petition. Oh, I'm probably going to say that. Team Food circulated petitions for all farmers markets to accept EBT, and after hearing the voices of the people, on May 6th, 2016, the city of Los Angeles mandated all farmers markets within the city limits accept EBT. Adding to, I have shivers. Adding to the countless victories LACAN has had disenfranchised residents. Has had for disenfranchised residents. The ability for one to grow and make their own food is limited to the access and affordability of the surrounding stores. Team Food not only teaches community members how to grow food and shares nutritional information, facts about food to reconnect people with what they are eating, while expanding the mission of LACAN outside the distinguished Skid Row area. We do live in a concrete jungle, so there is very little space where you can actually feel dirt. Even the trees are surrounded by concrete. They just come out of these holes, so there's just no green space whatsoever. And even the parts that there aren't food, it's usually just grass. That's a quote from Ari. Skid Row residents have an opportunity to learn about plants and the importance of healthy food and reconnect to the earth when participating with Team Food. Team Food is an example of how the campaign can help lift the organization as a whole. Ari talks about the expanded justice work of LACAN. LACAN is often seen only as civil rights organization, tenants' rights organization. I think we're starting to emerge ourselves in the food world, and I think that to be those people to start that shift in culture here in Skid Row is pretty exciting. Team Food and LACAN are adamant about leading campaigns to ensure all residents in Los Angeles have access to healthy, affordable food, and the organizing succeeded with the farmers markets. The next section is going to be organizational development, but I do want to interject. When they redid the building, LACAN has this huge rooftop garden right there in Skid Row. They make medicines, they have lots of herbs and food, and then they sell that and also work in partnership to continue offering food for folks. Have a good one.